with the new CCCBA Pro, which we'll talk about in a moment. And we're delighted to see you all here today. Part of the mission of the Bar Association is to help our membership with business development. So we created the CCCBA Pro, which again, we'll hear more about later in the program. And we wanted to help get the word out about it. But not only that, we recognize that there are so many other ways that our members can contribute, can provide service, and can also make those referral connections that are so vital to building businesses, to actually getting paid work. And there are so many ways that you can do that through the Contra Costa County Bar Association. And so today will just be a real primer on some of those programs that are available to you as a member of the Bar Association. What we won't talk about, but also are equally important, are our sections and our committees. Those are also great ways to get really involved with the Bar Association, to meet new people, to network, to develop your business, and really to gain credibility. And I didn't join the board of the Bar Association to develop business. That wasn't my goal. It was a byproduct though. So if your goal is to join the board, for example, because you think you'll make a lot of money, that would not be my recommendation. It's a lot of work, but nonetheless, board service is very, very satisfying. So if that's of interest to you, I definitely recommend it. And then, of course, hopefully, again, making those connections and seeing all your hard work pay off will lend credibility to you and your practice, and will drive business towards you. So with that brief overview, again, we're very delighted to have you here to learn more about some of the ways the Bar Association can help you promote your business and develop your book of business. So we'll start first with the Lawyer Referral and Information Service, and I'll turn the meeting over to Joe Wolch. Joe.
Thank you, James. Welcome to everybody, and thank you for attending. I am a family law attorney practicing in Walnut Creek, where I've practiced since 1993. For probably 20 years, I've been a panelist on the Lawyer Referral and Information Service, and I've been the chair for maybe the past 10 years. We're here to talk about business development. It is not a great paying job being the chair of the Lawyer Referral and Information Service, but it is very rewarding to work with great people. What do we do and how can it help you? So we are an arm of the County Bar Association that offers the public an opportunity to consult with pre-screened, pre-approved attorneys in different fields of need. So we have family law attorneys, we have landlord-tenant attorneys, we have personal injury attorneys. We cover virtually the entire gamut of issues that the public might have questions on. They don't pay us to consult with us. They pay the County Bar Association a nominal fee to set up the consultation. And the panelist attorneys meet with the members of the public who have questions for their consultations without being paid. Why should anybody be a panelist on the Lawyer Referral and Information Service? Well, first of all, I believe it helps us help the profession enhance our reputation in the eyes of the public. When we consult with people, they realize that we are not being paid to consult with them, but we are sincerely interested in providing them with information, which is hopefully of great assistance to them and very empowering to them, number one. Number two, every time we consult with somebody as a panelist through the LRIS, we have an opportunity to meet somebody. And I always believe in building your brand as a practitioner. As one of the judges told my opposing counsel recently at a hearing, it takes an entire career to build your brand, but only one day to ruin it. So if you're always working on building your brand and your reputation, you're going to do that with everybody that you touch and everybody that you meet. So when you consult with members of the public that have questions about an issue in an area of the law that you practice, they get to meet you, you get to meet them. And if they hire you, fantastic. You've now made a new client, you have some new business, which is terrific. But if they don't, you've made a good contact with somebody. They've taken your card, they've taken your name. If they have a cousin or an uncle or somebody that they know from work that might need an attorney later on down the line, they will, if you've done a good job, give them your name to consult with. So it's always a great chance for you as a practitioner to meet new people, to share information that you have with people who are really interested in getting it and helping them sort of identify the issues that they came to talk about, identify a strategy and maybe the best way to move forward. Because as I said earlier, I think information is empowering, and I think it's very valuable for us as lawyers to try to share as much information with members of the public as we can. I also want to emphasize the fact that I did mention earlier, again, that unfortunately, the legal profession sometimes has a bad name, and sometimes it's for a good reason. But when we meet with members of the public through the LRIS, we do have an opportunity to dispel them of any notions that lawyers are awful or evil people. But in fact, we're generous folks who try to help people who are in a tough spot get to a better place. And any information that we can give them, any guidance that we can give them through the LRIS is extremely valuable. You'll meet members of the Bar Association by participating on the LRIS. You'll meet members of the public. And again, you'll become more engaged, more active in your practice. And I think you will find that you will have some new clients come from participating as a panelist on the LRIS, and your business will blossom. I'd like to introduce you to a couple of our panelists so that they can tell you about their experiences as panelists on the LRIS. My experience has been phenomenal. I've really enjoyed being a panelist, but don't listen to me. Let's listen to others. So first, I'd like to introduce you to Ellen Gregory, and she'll tell you about her experience on the panel as a panelist. Thank you, Ellen.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so I've been a lawyer for about 30 years, and most of my career I practiced in Indiana. I practiced in Illinois and Indiana, but mostly in Indiana. I'm a native Californian, grew up in Fresno, and about 3 years ago, I moved back to California from Indiana, having spent my entire career practicing environmental law and had never done any landlord-tenant work other than I was a landlord myself of a couple of rental condos in Indianapolis. So when I moved here, I hooked up with another solo attorney. I worked for about a year with him. While I was working with him, I had done some landlord-tenant cases and realized that I really enjoyed doing that. And I went out on my own right before the pandemic hit, actually, doing landlord-tenant work. And so I didn't have a whole lot of connections with lawyers in general, and certainly not with the landlord-tenant community. And so I reached out to both the Contra Costa County Bar and the Alameda County Bar. And the Alameda County Bar required like 3 years of practice in the practice area. So when I contacted the Contra Costa County Bar Association, they were, because I had 30 years of practice as a lawyer, even though not in the practice area, I was allowed to join onto the panel and have really gotten a lot out of it. I have to say that the platform itself, which is actually the same platform that the Alameda County Bar Lawyer Referral Service uses, is phenomenal. It tracks all of your clients, whether they've retained you or not. So you can go back and look at their contact information. You can make notes into their case file, either for yourself or for the staff. You can also pay your 15% referral fee kind of as you go. Most of my cases are kind of short term, like a month or 2 months at the most. So I usually just wait until the end and then pay the 15% at the end, but you can also do it on a monthly basis or kind of whenever you get around to it. So that is a great aspect, I think, of the platform itself. Once you put your credit card information in there, you just basically push a button and it calculates the 15% and automatically charges your card and sends you an invoice. It's really, really very very user-friendly. There are two different ways clients come in. They can either come in as self-referrals, which means they're reaching out to you directly without going through the Bar Association staff. And there are pros and cons to each. I mean, it's kind of nice getting an email from the staff kind of explaining what the case is, and you can decide whether or not to take it. Often when I get emails from the staff, it's a matter that I either don't have time to handle, it's in an area that I'm not that familiar with, or it's just a matter that doesn't look like it's going to interest me, and I can just respond to the staff and say, please send it to someone else. When the client contacts me directly, you can't do that, obviously, because there's no intermediary. But I've in my experience, I'd say probably about half the people that I end up talking to and having an initial consult with do end up retaining me. Sometimes it's not for a month or two. They'll talk with me for 30 minutes and then say, you know, I'm going to not do anything, especially with the eviction moratorium and things going on with the landlord-tenant practice. A lot of times the tenants are just not ready to move forward, but you know, some of them come back after a couple of months. In terms of, I did want to just share kind of a little comparison, because I have used Legal Match and NOLO, and I also have a website that my son actually set up for me. So I get referrals through Squarespace as well. And I would say the pros to the Contra Costa lawyer referral service over those other ones is you only pay the referral fee if you end up getting retained. I end up giving 30-minute free consultations regardless of how I get my cases in. So if I get it through Legal Match or NOLO, I'm giving them a 30-minute consultation free anyway. So it's, you know, the LRS is similar in that aspect. And I think that's all I had, but it's been a great way for me to get cases in a practice area that I didn't have a whole lot of experience in. And so, yep, definitely positive feedback from me.
Thank you very much, Ellen. Melanie Abea also is a panelist of ours and wants to share some of her experience as a panelist on the LRIS. Go ahead, Melanie, please.
Hello, everyone. So a little bit about me. I've been practicing for almost 5 years now, primarily family law. I do have a civil side of my practice, so I'm on the panel both for family law and for civil cases. I came to this firm about 3 years ago, and the firm I came from didn't require me to bring a business. So when I came to this firm and I did have a requirement suddenly to bring in new cases, I was kind of like trying to figure out how I was going to do that. I had been on the Bar Association since I became licensed, and I decided to try out the lawyer referral service. And I will mirror some of the things that Ellen says, which is it's been a really good thing for me. I would say in the last 30 days between both the Alameda and the Contra Costa LRS, I've brought in 7 clients this month alone. So it's been really positive. I'm exceeding the amount of clients I need to bring in every month. And that's really great. And it's been really easy, as Ellen said, to go ahead and get those referrals. I get an email. I sometimes, when I get them from the staff, Teresa or someone else there, I do sometimes have to ask for a little bit more information. When the clients put in some information there, sometimes it's just one small sentence and I have to ask for a little bit more information. But the staff there is always very helpful. I don't always take all of the clients. As Ellen had said, I think some of them come through and it's just not something that I would handle or have a ton of experience in. And so I declined that. But the payment process, again, is very easy. We just log in. I appreciate that once a month I get a reminder, hey, here are the clients that you've been referred. Can you update us and let us know if you've taken them on, and do you need to make a payment every month? And I appreciate that, because then I can just pay that when I get the reminder, look at all the clients and update that. I'd say during the pandemic, it was extremely helpful. I'm in a small firm. There's only 2 attorneys here and 3 support staff. And without LRS, I don't know that we would have made it through that time period. As you know, the courts were closed, and in family law, I think the only cases that were really being taken by the courts were DV cases. And so I was seeing a lot of DV referrals during that time, and it really kept us afloat during that time. So I really appreciate LRS and all they've done for me. And yeah, if I can give any more information to anybody after at 1 o'clock, I'm happy to do that.
Thank you, Melanie. I just wanted to add and echo that sentiment that as a young attorney, when I started practicing family law, it was a great boon to business for me to be a part of the LRIS. Now as maybe an older attorney and with referrals, having practiced for close to 30 years, I still appreciate being a panelist and meeting and consulting with members of the public who have questions, because again, even if they don't retain you, you're spending half an hour or an hour of your time to meet with somebody, give them information. They're always appreciative, and they're making a good contact with you, whether they need you or not, or somebody needs you in the future. You're also doing a good turn for the legal profession and enhancing the image of our profession each time you do that. So there's a bilateral mutuality of benefit for the public and for the lawyer and for the lawyer legal profession. So I highly encourage anybody that is not a panelist to consider joining. And if you are, thank you for being a panelist.
All right. Thank you so much, Joe and Ellen and Melanie. Really appreciate your input on this. Okay, we are going to go next to David Pearson, who is going to talk about CCCBA Pro. David.
Thank you, Teresa. So I'm David Pearson, and I am a board member on the Contra Costa Bar Director Board, and I am this year's treasurer, next year's secretary. I'm here to introduce CCCBA Pro, which is our new networking group that we started in January of this year. And actually, James, Mika, and I started CCCBA Pro, which arose from an idea that we had on a board retreat. And the idea behind Pro was that we wanted to help our members, both attorneys and non-attorneys, develop a business networking ability for referrals. So if you're familiar with provisors or BNI or any of the chamber groups that exist around the Bay Area, Pro is very similar. We meet once a month for about an hour and a half and have presentation by one of our members, and then we get together to exchange business leads. And the whole idea behind Pro is to encourage our members to get to know each other better and to encourage more non-attorneys to join the Bar Association as affiliates. So if you didn't know, the Bar Association is open to affiliate members, so non-attorneys can join. And that is actually one of the big things that we're pushing with Pro, is to bring in more non-attorneys to help network with attorneys. We find that they bring a lot of referrals to us, and we need experts as attorneys. We need people that we can bring into cases, whether they're CPAs, bankers. In our case, our group that meets in Walnut Creek actually has a personal property appraiser, which was someone I had never met before in an area that I wasn't aware of. And suddenly I had a need for a personal property appraiser in the last month in a case. So it worked out perfectly that I was able to bring her in and hire her through a client. So with Pro, we actually have two groups currently. One is based, or will be based when we can meet in person in Walnut Creek. And we had what we called an East County group that we are rebranding as a Concord group to bring in more members. If you join Pro, you file an application, which is available online. And each Pro group is restricted in that your area of expertise will be reserved just to you once you're admitted to the group. So Mika is our probate litigator, and she has no competition. She owns that lane. We have an attorney who does estate planning. So we have one litigator, one transactional attorney in that area. And so if you apply for us, that you would own your area. We don't allow any of the overlaps. So that way it encourages people to refer to that one individual in the group. You can also visit between the different groups, and we are working on trying to start a barristers pro group, which is for attorneys and non-attorneys with less than 7 years of experience in their field of practice. So you do have to have at least 7 years to join one of the main pro groups. And, I found that our group has actually been invaluable for myself. I've received a few referrals already and given out a number of referrals, and we've only been in existence since January in meeting. So, it's already been successful. And I know a number of other members have received business from the group. So it is something that is growing. I think our group, Mika, I think we're at 20 right now for the Walnut Creek, 20 members or thereabouts. So we are still looking for quite a few people. I think our optimum size for each pro group is probably going to be around 25 to 30 maximum. And we're always looking for people to join the wait list, because we will be adding additional pro groups as we have enough people in a core to form a new group. So we would encourage you to apply early and often and help us grow pro and bring more people into the bar, because that's what this is about. So Mika, what's your experience been in pro over the last, 7 months we've been going?
Thank you, David. I'm really excited to be part of this new group. I'm also a very proud member of CCCBA. I've been a member now since I was a law student, so for over 10 years. So CCCBA Pro has given me the opportunity to meet and develop relationships with different professionals. Building connections, as we all know, is very important. You may have various professional and personal networks, but how many of those networks you belong to are focused on helping you build your business? The question of who you network with and their relevance to your career matters. With CCBA Pro, you certainly can go into it with certain expectations. So for me, I expect first to do my part in supporting the members by understanding what they do so I can keep them on top of mind when there are opportunities. And an opportunity may not always directly translate to a sale. It can be an opportunity to help others gain more knowledge about a topic or help them with skill building or growth. So being able to exchange information with the other members about their past experience and current business goals can also be very empowering. It helps everyone in the group gain new insights and establish best practices. So as a member of CCCBA Pro, I expect myself to spend time and energy seeking opportunities for the members, because it helps them achieve their goals. And when you have this giving mentality, there's usually some reciprocity. Of course, once you develop relationships with people in your group, you build a certain level of trust, and naturally you are inclined to refer them to those who could use their services. As David mentioned, with CCBA Pro, we meet once a month with the big group, but we also have one-on-one sessions, and we can do that as often as our time allows. So for me, it's been less than a year since I joined CCBA Pro, and I'm learning about the members and establishing relationships. And what have I gained from it? Well, of course, opportunities for growth. And just about a couple months ago, I did receive a referral from one of our members who conducts most of his business overseas. And it turned out to be a very big case, so I'm happy about that. And had I not joined CCCBA Pro, I might not have met this referral partner. CCCBA Pro can definitely help create long-term relationships with mutual benefits, and in doing so, help you thrive.
Great, thank you.
So Mika and I will be here if you have questions about Pro. And there's actually a number of other folks here on the call who are involved in Pro. And quite a few of the folks here I see that I've worked with on and off throughout the years in the Bar Association. So, the Pro is an awesome opportunity. It's very inexpensive. We priced it on purpose to be less expensive than any of our competitors. So it's currently $300 a year in addition to your bar membership. Although if you join now, we've cut the rate in half because we're midway through the year. So if you apply now and are accepted, you'll save $150. So please consider this in something that might help you grow your career and to meet other attorneys and non-attorneys in the county and get to know them better. And we look forward to seeing all of you. If you want to visit a pro group, just reach out to myself, James, or Mika. We'd be happy to have you as a guest at our group so you can determine whether or not it's something that you actually want to join. Thanks.
All right, thank you, David and Mika. And just as a follow-up to everybody, I'll be sending an email out later with links to all the different things we've been talking about. So you'll have all the information you need. Okay, I am going to now introduce David Marchiano, who is the head of our pro bono committee and a past board member. And I'm going to have him talk about pro bono at the CCCBA. David.
Great. Well, thank you, Teresa. And it's great to see everyone here today. So as Teresa said, I'm the current chair of the Contra Costa County Bar Association's pro bono committee. I like to think that we have a small but mighty committee. You'll hear from 2 of our members in about 5 minutes. So of course, I think everyone knows, but pro bono is actually short for pro bono publico, which is a Latin phrase, which means for the public good. And so I've been hearing all these good stories about attorneys making good relationships and networking and getting clients, of course, for payment. And pro bono is, of course, the opposite. It's us attorneys and providing legal services to those who are in need in our community for free. So I can't tell you that, sit here and sell you on the fact that you'll get rich from pro bono work, similar to how James told everyone you shouldn't join the board to get rich. But the same rewarding experiences that I was able to get as a board member for many years, I've also gotten as the chair of the pro bono committee. And our committee does a lot of good work in the community. We've been focused in the past 2 years on 4 groups particularly hit hard by the pandemic. Number 1 is unemployed or underemployed workers. Number 2 is housing law, both landlords and tenants who are of need, who need legal assistance and who otherwise wouldn't be able to afford it. Number 3 is veterans. And number 4 are those with family law or domestic violence issues, particularly restraining orders, and those who weren't able to get out of their house during the lockdown. So I'm going to allow Layli to talk about the VA clinic that she herself has set up in downtown Oakland, which is just fantastic. So I'm not going to steal her thunder. I'll let her talk about that. But that is very exciting that we have a whole clinic set up at downtown Oakland for veterans. Another thing I want to tell you about in terms of opportunities is another committee member, Beth Mora, was instrumental in opening a new legal aid at work clinic in Antioch. It's a clinic specifically geared for low-income workers in the areas of unemployment law. And there are other legal aid at work, clinics in California and in the Bay Area, in Alameda and San Francisco counties. Typically, they're connected to a law school like Bolt or Hastings. This is the first legal aid at work clinic that's not connected to a law school. But that said, it's been vital during this time when many unemployed and underemployed persons in our county need help claiming unemployment benefits and other things related to wrongful termination and discrimination, harassment, and other claims. In terms of housing law, I'll let Samantha talk more about that and her experience, but the Superior Court is working with the California Access to Justice Commission of the State Judicial Council. There's a pilot program that's going on in our county. We're one of 2 counties, I believe. I think Monterey County might be the other one. And it's a pilot program for remote mediation in unlawful detainer and eviction cases. So the California Access to Justice Commission is recruiting and training attorneys and retired judges to serve as mediators and as, quote, attorneys of the day to help unrepresented landlords and tenants. And so there's a particular emphasis on trying to help the parties to make use of the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, which offers landlords a chance to receive at least 80% of the rent overdue because of COVID, provided that they do not evict the tenant. So it's thus a great solution for both parties. So the takeaway message, and then I'll let the 2 committee members talk about their own experience, is just similar to some other presenters here today. You can meet a whole bunch of good people in our committee. You can get a whole lot of experience in areas of law, even areas of law that you may not practice as your primary area, Monday to Friday. Really, they need bodies. There's a lot of training out there. And so people who may not know about housing law or landlord tenant or issues with the veterans, they really just, you need to show up and just talk with those people, and you can provide referrals if you really don't know it. But oftentimes it's just a matter of comforting these people and pointing them in the right direction. And there's so many people in our county right now who need help. So I would encourage everyone to join our committee or just get involved. I can send a link in the chat to the pro bono opportunities that are available. The CCCBA has a good website about those opportunities. We link members to Bay Area legal service nonprofits such as Bay Legal, CASA, and other opportunities. And so I would encourage you also to go on the website, and I'll put that in the chat. But right now, without further ado, I want to allow Layli to talk about her experiences doing pro bono work.
Thank you so much, David. Hi, everyone. My name is Layla K Born. I am an attorney in Contra Costa County, and I joined the pro bono committee October of last year. And I can say it was probably one of the best things I ever did personally and professionally. The last couple of years have been difficult for all of us, and the hardest hit communities, it became abundantly clear, especially in the legal profession, how many people there are that need help. During I practiced family law and criminal law, so I've seen a lot of bad things in the last almost 2 years. Joining the pro bono committee has allowed me to meet amazing individuals. It's a small committee, but they have very, very long arms. Each of the individuals in this committee know tons of people that are willing to help and come to the forefront of almost any legal problem. During this period of time in which I've joined the committee, I decided to collaborate with the Department of Veterans Affairs, and myself and a social worker that handles the Veterans Court, her name is Penny, opened up the East Bay Clinic in Oakland. And the reason we opened it in Oakland instead of Martinez was because of a lot of the veterans that we serve do not have the ability to get to Martinez because of the lack of accessible public transportation. The Oakland VA is right by the BART station. And in this clinic, it's me once a month. And we had our first in-person clinic this past month. And people come and they line up. We had about 15 people, and I answer any questions they may have. And like David said, a lot of it is just listening to individuals who nobody else would listen to because they can't afford going to an attorney normally. So you comfort them, you listen to them, you put out some fires, and for quite a few of them, you point them in the right direction. And by pointing them in the right direction is all of those amazing people I've met in the pro bono committee, their contacts, my own contacts, you send them their way. So we're here today to see how we can grow our practices with pro bono work, with community service. It's probably one of the best ways ever is by sitting down, helping people, and sending them, like David said, pointing them in the right direction. And a lot of these individuals end up hiring the person they're talking to. As for the Veterans Clinic, I don't take any of the cases. I refer all of them out because I don't want an appearance of impropriety. But it's been probably one of the most beneficial activities I've ever partaken in. And I would highly recommend for anybody that is here to come join me once a month. I'll be looking for a volunteer to join me once a month to sit down and talk to these individuals that are in dire need of help. And some are just in dire need of being listened to and comforted. And with that, I will turn it over.
Great. One other thing I wanted to mention that I'll let Samantha talk it, but we have tried to highlight those who have contributed. And so by setting up one thing is the Justice Marchiano Award. And so that inaugural award is going to be given out at the Bar Fund benefit later this year. And so we're going to be deciding on a winner next week as a committee. But there's also a pro bono honor roll that everyone who gives 50 or more hours in a calendar reporting year can submit their name to the Bar Association. And by doing that, you can actually appear not only on the Bar Fund benefit handout, but also on our website. And so that is a way to grow a practice. Your name will be out there. You're doing good pro bono work, and it can be a good way to get referrals and again, get your name out there in the community. And go ahead, Samantha, please.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone. Happy Friday. My name is Samantha Sepehr. I am an attorney in Contra Costa County. Our office is in Walnut Creek, and I practice primarily in the area of trust probate litigation as well as landlord-tenant. And my career started out doing work at a nonprofit at the Elder Law Clinic at John F. Kennedy University, where I was working with elders and handling elder abuse cases. But as I was working there, I realized that some of my elders were living with people that were keeping them hostage in their houses, or basically abusing them with no access to the outside world. And there's no nonprofits that I came across that would be able to evict tenants on behalf of elders. It was all it was all tenant rights organizations, and no one to do landlord work for the little old lady or the little old man trying to get that bad guy out of their house. So I started to do pro bono work in the area of unlawful detainers and started to learn it. And I went and started watching court, and I was in court and I started to meet attorneys. And on one particular case, even though I was representing an elder tenant in this particular case, I was approached by my opposing counsel who was representing the landlord. And that attorney asked me if I was interested in doing any contract work for their firm because they needed some help with landlord work. And I started to laugh, saying I usually do landlord work. And I ended up getting a good contract gig with a firm. And they liked me a lot. And I ended up meeting another firm that wanted to use me for contract work, all doing UDs. While I was in court, I would even meet paying clients. So I'd have clients come up to me, ask for business cards, what, resources. And so being in court, I got clients, being with, working with other firms. They used me for certain work and contract work. And it's been invaluable because of all of the changes in the UD law and the moratorium. It's like layers and layers of law. So how do you peel these all back? Well, I've got now a good resource from being in court, doing pro bono cases, learning colleagues who can help. And Ellen, I just saw that you do UDs too, or landlord tenant. Feel free to call me. We can connect too. But it's a good opportunity to get cases if you handle pro bono, because lots of my pro bono clients have referred paying clients to me. And like I said, I've met colleagues along the way, and we still network. We refer cases to each other, and we, it's just this new moratorium. It's a maze of laws. It's layer upon layer. You've got to deal with the federal, the state. You've got to deal with the CDC. You've got county. You've got city. You've got to peel through all those layers, and it's really helpful if you have your network that can kind of help figure out what all of these laws mean and what applies and when. So even though pro bono doesn't sound great for your pocketbook, it can eventually pay for itself with referrals and with the connections and the professionals that you meet while handling these cases. So I'd highly encourage anyone who's interested in maybe even learning a new area of law to go out there and see if there's a clinic or there's an opportunity available for you to participate in, because your colleagues can be a great resource of information and can open the network doors for clients and other things. We've got a great website on the CCCBA about different pro bono opportunities that are available. I would encourage everyone to go on there and check them out and just get involved. You'll be surprised how many doors open, even though it's pro bono work.
All right, thank you so much, Samantha, as well as Layli and David. Really appreciate all the work that you guys have all done over quite a few years between the three of you. All right, next we're going to have Marcus Brown, who's going to talk about the Contra Costa Lawyer and how you can get involved and how that will help get your name out. Marcus.
Hi, everybody. I'm Marcus Brown. I'm a real estate attorney, and I've been involved with the CCCBA for at least 10 years, I believe. And I'm a current co-editor of the Contra Costa Lawyer, which is the Bar Association's publication. It comes in magazine form as well as online form. And I've been involved with the publication for 5 or 6 years, starting out as a member of the editorial committee and being an author for the magazine, being a guest editor for the magazine, and now I'm one of the 2 co-editors. Before I jump specifically into the Contra Costa Lori, I would just like to piggyback on some of the things that other folks have said and just share a minute of my personal experience being involved with the Bar Association, which is, after about 10 years of practice with firms in 2015, I opened my own office just because it was something I wanted to do. And being involved in all these various ways that you've heard about today with the Bar Association really, it was essential for me having a successful practice. So, probably made up as much as 50% of my business in my new solo practice, such that by my second year in practice, I was far exceeding what I was earning as a relatively well-compensated associate attorney at a mid-sized firm, and able to support a family of 5 in the Bay Area on one income. So, and all of these various ways in which people are involved, it's all non-billable time, but the non-billable time is what drives the billable time, and you end up having more work than you can do. So you either start referring work that you can't do because you have too much to all the people you've met, or you end up trying to figure out how to hire associates and grow your business. So get involved is my point there. So specifically about the Contra Costa Lawyer magazine, let me share my screen with you and you can see a bit about what it looks like. Let me start with the other page here. So here, I hope everyone can see that. So here is an image from the inside of the magazine. And I can just show you the cover. And most of you are probably familiar with this, but there's the cover of the most recent issue of the print version. So there's various ways to be involved with the magazine. You can be an author, because there's an example of how the authors are often featured in the magazine. And it's you can just see it's a great way to raise your visibility in the community. The Bar Association has approximately 1,450 members presently, so you're just raising your visibility with all those people and demonstrating your expertise in a particular area that you practice. And then I'll show you how it shows up on the online version. Looks like this, but there again you see how the author is featured. So one way to be involved is as an author. Another way to be involved is to be a guest editor, and what the magazine relies on there is I'm a co-editor, and Ann Batten is the other co-editor currently, and we do a final editing of everything, but the person who actually puts together the issue are volunteer guest editors who are members of the Bar Association who just step up and volunteer to put an issue of the magazine together with the assistance of the editorial committee. So being a guest editor is another way to be involved. For example, Mary Grace Guzman, who's here today, was the guest editor for the last issue, which was on the topic of access to justice. So she took it upon herself to come up with ideas about what articles she might want to include and find the authors. The editorial committee met with her to help her figure out what the articles might be about and where she might turn to write the articles. And then another way to be involved is to volunteer to be on the editorial committee. Spots on that committee do open up basically every year toward the end of the year. So so if you're interested, I'm going to post a link to the magazine, and if you're interested in becoming involved, you can contact me And I can share my email address. You can also contact Ann Batten, who's the other present co-editor, and you can also just contact the bar office. So two of our panelists are going to talk more about their experience with the magazine. Let me turn it over to Mary Grace Guzman, who's a professional responsibility attorney representing lawyers here in Contra Costa County. And I'm going to stop my share. Let's see. Go.
All right, Mary Grace.
All righty. So I have been writing for Contra Costa for a couple of years now, here and there when I get invited. I'm going to just be very frank with you. I don't think of myself as a very good writer, but I love to write. The reason why I feel like I'm not a good writer is that I have dyslexia, I have ADHD. And so I've always had this relationship with writing where I really enjoy it, but I personally don't feel like I'm a very good writer. And I'm always surprised when I write something, whether it's for Contra Costa magazine or other services, and people say, wow, that was really well written. So the reason why I share that is that you might feel, wow, I don't feel like a good writer, but I would love to write on something. Throw the self-consciousness about writing out the window and focus on the fact that you want to write. You can write on anything. So in my particular experience, I've written a lot on legal ethics because that's my expertise. I have written for the wellness magazine, and I wrote specifically on knitting because I run a knitting group for lawyers, and I was talking about how knitting helps my wellness. And then I curated the magazine. The topic was handed to me, so sometimes you're lucky and you get a topic that actually goes well with what you know. Other times you're given a topic that is challenging. And I will tell you, writing on and curating a magazine specifically on access to justice was challenging. I was up for it because I really value access to justice. I pay attention to those issues. What was difficult is you know, getting other authors who are you know, who don't necessarily practice in the nonprofit world, who feel comfortable writing on the topic. And it actually worked out. I was pleasantly surprised how well it worked out. As for how it has impacted my career, I have had people call me up and say, I read this article that you wrote. And there's one in particular where I wrote about our duties to prospective clients. And I still have people emailing me, asking me about the particular article. It has evolved to even opportunities to, I now write a monthly blog for the continuing education of the bar, or at the bar, I always forget what it's called. But anyway, CEB, I now write for them too. And so when you write, it gives you an opportunity to think about a topic that you're interested in without necessarily the stress of having a client needs in front of you or a client demands in front of you, which is always nice. If you're interested in a particular topic that maybe you've never really practiced, but you want to learn more about, this is the opportunity to do that research, to do that writing. And for example, one that I'm currently mulling over my head is government conflicts of interest for government employees, because there's not a lot written out there. So I'm in the process of doing that research and learning it for myself. So my point is that you don't have to be a practice area expert to participate. You really have to just want to be able to write and come up with an idea and then, you know, produce it in a timely manner. But I highly recommend getting involved. It is a great opportunity. And I think you'll be surprised if you're self-conscious about writing, that you might actually be a better writer than you think you are. Because like I said, I really don't think of myself as like the best writer in the world, but I do love to write, and I do love the opportunities that the magazine has given me. So I'll pass it on over to the next person.
All right, we'll go on to James Wu to talk about his experience.
Okay, thank you, Teresa. So for the editorial or for the Contra Costa lawyer, I've had the privilege to serve all three roles, or three of the roles that Marcus mentioned, as a guest editor, as an author of articles, and on the editorial board itself. I've never been the editorial sort of chair that Marcus is currently serving as. But my time on or participating with the Contra Costa lawyer has been invaluable as well, because, and I would echo Mary Grace, write about what you're interested in. For me, because it's employment, my practice is employment law, I tend to write about employment law topics. Now, some of those are kind of boring, quite frankly, but I try to pull out sort of practical, day-to-day, interesting scenarios and write about them. And often, every magazine has a theme typically. So it could be about employment law, it could be about ethics, it could be about real estate law. But what I found, especially with employment law, and you may have a practice that fits this as well, that a lot of our members, of course, have their own firms and they have their own employees. So even if there's not an employment law themed magazine, sometimes there's a good article, or at least a half-page update that we could put in there about employment law issues, like all these things with COVID, for example. We could do a quick little update, even though the magazine is not specifically focused on employment law. And it just takes ideas, and it just takes time from folks like you who want to get their work published. Especially since everything is archived online, like Mary Grace said, these articles are out there for the public to see, for our fellow attorneys. I still get calls for one article I wrote, I think in 2012, which dealt with March Madness in the workplace, and how how employers should deal with distracted employees with March Madness, and it's applicable to things like the Super Bowl and the Olympics, and things like that, when people want to sort of be glued to their phone, or if they're into fantasy football and they're always checking their phones, like what can employers do with respect to these sort of March Madness issues? And I get lots of calls and things about that. Of course, I think one of our most popular articles is also about 10 years old, and it deals with Section 998 offers and how to maneuver and how to use them. And that one I think was written by Nick Casper, a former president of the bar, and I think it's been republished in other magazines as well. So, there's plenty of opportunities. One of the other side benefits of writing an article is that once you have an article, you can post it wherever you want, LinkedIn, your Facebook page. You can even chop it up. So if you do a monthly blog, take the first part of it, create a blog post out of that, and then you have a ready-made other blog post for the rest of the year by chopping up your own article. So it's work well spent. Also, and I'll just pull a last plug here, if you do happen to become the president of the Bar Association, you typically also are given I don't know if it's the honor or the obligation, but you have the right to write a president's message, which, I didn't do it for the full, 12 issues that I had when I was president, but it was another good way. For me, I used it more to interview other people, interview judges, interview incoming judges. I interviewed Lisa Reep, who's a former director of the Bar Association. I also talked a lot about the new section that we created while I was the president, the senior section. So if you do become president, that's a perk. Hope you don't consider it as a burden, but it's another good way to contribute to the Contra Costa lawyer. So I'll stop there, and I think we're now ready for questions. Is that right, Teresa?
That is. Thank you very much, James. So, we have the option. We could just open it up to questions, or we can go into to individual breakout rooms if folks want to do that. So, well, you know what? Why don't we just start? And if you have a question, please unmute yourself and put it out there, and we'll see what people have. And please don't be shy. Anyone?
They all look shy.
Yeah, I mean, if nobody has questions right now, or, you know, would prefer, I mean, the other option is I can open up the breakout rooms and you can choose which one to go into. And then that way it's sort of a smaller group. So maybe we'll give that a shot and we'll see if folks go in, and you could decide to participate in that or not, that's fine. And I will be sending out an email a little bit later today that's got links to all the different things that we talked about. But if you want to have an opportunity to speak to some of the people who were here today and find out more, I'll open up the breakout rooms. If for some reason you can't get yourself into one, you know, just unmute and let me know and I will move you into it. All right. And I've already pre-assigned some folks into their own rooms. And if you have general Bar Association questions, you're welcome to stay in the main room with me.